Well, thank you everyone for coming today. I appreciate my wife and boys and our daughter Eliza braving the wind and the cold, but it is warming up. Thank you for many friends that are here as well today. I want to thank all of you again. And my name is Travis Manning, and I am running for the Idaho House of Representatives here in Caldwell's District 10. I'm grateful to have my family here, my wife Ann, as I mentioned, and my 3 kids. My sons, my twin boys, Whitaker and Kale, and our daughter Eliza, 3, who we adopted from China back in 2012. Without Ann's support and patience, I would not be here today. It just would not be possible. Her dad was in the Utah Legislature back in the 1970s and served a couple of terms there, so her family is kind of accustomed to people running for public office. I'm deeply blessed to be both a father and a husband and consider my family as my greatest possession. Again, I'm grateful for friends and supporters who have come here on President's Day and a day off for many of you. I'm here today running for the Idaho House of Representatives in parts because Caldwell needs a voice. We need a bold voice to support public schools. Caldwell needs someone who can speak to the realities of the classroom while debating important issues in the Idaho State House. As a high school English teacher, I believe I can speak to those important issues. In today's ideological environment, sometimes the politics of the day masks the everyday realities happening in our schools. Too often there's a disconnect between the ideological reforms and practical implementation of improving our schools. More than anything, I want to be a voice for the voiceless, for the kids who don't get enough to eat but come to school anyway to take high-stakes tests, for the teachers who often work 10 and 12-hour days yet have their pay decreased because educational funding is a political football. Now, I like football. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Seahawks fan and was very happy to see them win the Super Bowl. But this is not the type of football that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a political game, a game that plays out every winter in the Idaho Legislature some 26 miles up the road from here. A game in which children, teachers, and communities too often lose. For years, I've coached the sport of wrestling, and most recently I was the JV wrestling coach at Valley View High School, just a mile up the road here, where I've taught for 9 years. The oldest of 8 kids, I grew up wrestling on the front room floor of my house, and my brothers and I would wrestle for hours, and we would often get lots of carpet burns. Wrestling was a part of our family culture. But here in 2011, when Superintendent Luna and some in the Idaho Legislature jammed the Luna laws down the throats of Idaho citizens, I could no longer stand idly by. I could no longer coach the sport of wrestling at the school where I teach when there was a movement by some to entirely dismantle the public education system as we know it. So I have given up coaching wrestling the past 3 years because I'm needed in the political arena. Wrestling season and the Idaho legislative session run during the same time frame. My voice and tenacity are needed. My ability to work with divergent political viewpoints is needed. My work ethic and common sense are needed, and at some point I will return to coaching, but not for now. In 2011, I started the Common Sense Democracy Foundation, as Bob mentioned. Truth be known, I was infuriated by Superintendent Luna, who ran on a platform entirely different from the policies he pushed after being elected to a second term of office. Like many Idahoans, I was dismayed at the dishonesty of a public official, and I was flabbergasted by legislators who ignored Idaho citizens. So I formed the Common Sense Democracy Foundation in May of 2011 and started a conversation with many teachers and parents about what they wanted in their public schools, something which the legislature failed to do. We met regularly, we became politically active, we shadowed public officials, and we did public records requests, and we wrote op-eds, and we worked on various political campaigns. In a democratic republic, I believe elected representatives have a prerogative to serve all of the people of Idaho, not just the party bosses. Unfortunately, in Idaho, the party bosses call the shots, and in such an environment, other valid viewpoints are often entirely ignored. 20 years of one-party rule is running Idaho into the ground. Idaho is 50th in the nation for public school funding per child, and Idaho is first in the nation for the highest number of minimum wage jobs. Perhaps there is a correlation between the two. If we don't invest in education, we don't reap the rewards of an educated workforce. There is a symbiotic relationship between the prosperity of Idaho businesses and families. Our children are moving away from Idaho because people leave and older people move in to take advantage of Idaho's tax structure. Idaho politicians too often give the tax breaks to those who fund their political campaigns. In Canyon County, well over 90% of legislators' political campaigns are funded by political action committees and special interest groups. Is this the kind of democracy we want? Is this the kind of democracy that we need? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Idaho's hardworking folks are getting squeezed. Healthcare costs continue to escalate. Wages remain stagnant, yet the lobbied interests and well-connected continue to receive corporate welfare. No, it is time for change. That is why I have chosen to run against Representative Brandon Hickson. Representative Hickson, beholden to the party bosses, represents the political status quo in this state. Caldwell needs someone with more life experience who represents the values of a wider cross-section of our community. Caldwell needs a more independent thinker in the State House. I have dedicated my life to serving the communities in which I have lived. As a teacher, coach, mentor, and scout leader to thousands of kids, I have devoted my life to promoting the next generation and future of our state. A lifelong outdoorsman, I have learned from my decades-long experience working with the Boy Scouts of America and advocating for what is right takes hard work. It takes honesty and personal responsibility. I take the Scout Oath of Law very seriously and understand that being a good citizen means working together to get things done for Idaho's kids and for Idaho's families. What do the people of Caldwell want? They want prosperity. They want more job security. They want a living wage and confidence that one day they can retire with dignity. They want a focused and independent-minded legislator they can trust to act in an ethical, responsible manner to represent all Idahoans, not just bow down to party bosses and special interests. Most of all, they want the assurance that their children get the education and support they need to succeed in the world. These are the issues that affect Idaho families every single day. State House leaders aren't doing enough to help us get there. I am the kind of community leader and with the courage, the proven track record, and the passion to deliver what Caldwell really needs. Principled leadership is what Caldwell wants. A community builder is what this office demands. Citizens, I would ask you that you vote for me, Travis Manning, for the Idaho State House, seat 10A, because families are important, schools are important, and supporting regular folks is also important. Thank you very much.